Now I'm going to break down the AFC South for you, and this may be a bit of a surprise to some, but I'll explain myself. I do have the Jacksonville Jaguars continuing their hot finish from last season as Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson found their groove with one another and was able to reel off a bunch of wins, get into the playoffs, make that comeback against the Chargers, and nearly take down the Chiefs in the divisional round. I do think that the Jags will win, but the surprise to me is I believe the Indianapolis Colts will rebound from a terrible season a year ago and sneak into the wild card at 11 and 6. They do benefit from one of the easier schedules in the league. They are ranked 28th or 29th as far as winning percentage, making their schedule one of the easiest. And I do think they benefit from that. If you remember, 2 years ago they came up one win short of the postseason, losing the final game of the season to the Jags in Jacksonville, where they haven't won since I believe 2014. I do believe that changes this year in week 6. But I was tempted to have them beat Jacksonville twice this year because I do believe that Anthony Richardson ends up as the starter and is solid. I've heard very positive things out of camp from Coach Steichen and the OC Jim Bob Cooter, and I believe he surprises some people. And I've said this before. Much of the roster that nearly made the playoffs 2 years ago was there a year ago and is there now, but the defense kept last year's team in a lot of games they shouldn't have been in based on the quarterback play. But I think that changes this year. I do believe it sounds like, despite all the drama with Jonathan Taylor's contract, he will play. He's rehabbing an injury right now, but I expect him to play for the Colts this season. So that's a big plus to them. I do think that Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce are one of the most underrated wide receiver tandems in the NFL. I believe the Colts take advantage of one of the easier schedules in football this season, finish 11 and 6 and sneak into the wild card. Similarly, even though they do have one of the easier schedules as well, I believe they rank 28th. I expect the Titans to take a step back. They lost AJ Brown a year ago. They did pick up DeAndre Hopkins, but he's slower than he used to be, so we'll have to see the impact he can have. Second year wide receiver Traylon Burks maybe will take a step forward. I do believe much of the load of the offense will remain on Derrick Henry, but can he remain healthy during that? We saw we saw the Titans kind of fade down the stretch last season, and I like Ryan Tannehill, but eventually he's going to be forced to do more than the bare minimum as a quarterback. And nobody blamed him for that. When you have a running back like Derrick Henry, you can get away with doing the bare minimum. I think eventually he's going to have to get away with doing or do more than the bare minimum. And I think it's going to be this year. I think this is a make or break year from Ryan Tannehill. And I don't trust that Titans team to get it done. And then the Houston Texans, I like what they're building. I think CJ Stroud's going to be fine. There was a bit of an overreaction based on his first preseason game. It's one game. He's a rookie. I think D'Amico Ryans is the perfect coach, having played for that franchise in the early years. I think they have Will Anderson Jr. I think they are building something really nice in Houston, but I think it's too early despite having the easiest schedule in football. I think it's too early. I have them at 1 and 16. That may be a bit tough. The only game I have them winning is against the Cardinals in week 11, but maybe they pick up a couple others. They do face the Falcons and the Panthers to end the year. They do have after that Cardinals game in week 11, they have Jacksonville, Denver, the Jets, the Titans, the Browns, the Titans again, and the Colts. And I think if my predictions about the Colts are correct and the Titans play even 500 football, I think I don't know if there's enough in Houston yet to do much of anything. Which means they'll have a top pick again this next draft, and I think they can continue to build what I think is going to be something very nice. I think much like Dan Campbell in Detroit, I think D'Amico Ryans was the right hire in Houston, but it's just too early. Maybe they pick up a couple extra wins, 2 or 3 wins, but based on the schedule, I had to make it 1-16. Those are my predictions for the AFC South, with a bit of a surprise with the Jags winning the division and clinching the fourth seed, and the Colts getting the sixth seed wild card spot in the AFC, coming in just ahead of the Chargers. So that is my surprise. The Colts sneak in as a wild card 1 year after a quarterback disaster. They have their quarterback of the future. If he is as good as they hope, I think they can surprise some people. That's my surprise pick. So Jags and Colts make the playoffs. Titans, better luck next year. Texans, you're building something special for the future. It's just too early. On to the next one.